see. Okay, I got the, looks like the mic is working. I got the link in Twitch. And I need to make sure that it's working in YouTube and get the link there. Okay, looks like YouTube is working. Get my chat set up. Okay, I think we're good. And then I just need the link in the chat. If the chat ever comes up. I hate that. Why does YouTube take so long to have the chat come up? Well, on the computer. There we go. I guess I just had to talk shit about it and then it will work. All right. We are good to go. Hi, everybody. Hi. We're here. It's me. Yes, I'm starting later than usual. Okay, I was gonna say a little distracted. No, I got majorly, very much, 100% all the way distracted. Like, yeah, just distracted in every way. Mostly by the eclipse that could not see because of clouds. So, yeah, there's that. But today is the lunar eclipse. So I'll talk about that in just a minute. Oh, hi, Judy. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Let me open up our space. The link should be everywhere if there's anybody that wants to go put in their songs and their lyrics. What am I doing? Oh yeah, opening our space. Oh man, it's been a long week. There we go. All right. So here we go. Welcome to Vibrant Numerals. Welcome to my sacred temple opportunity space. Welcome to healing with laughter, joy, peace, contemplation, and discomfort. Welcome to Vibrant Numerals. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we are focusing in on the word education. So any songs, lyrics, um, yeah, any songs, lyrics from any genre that use the word education or related to education, um, you can put that into the form, which is in the link tree. So you just click on that link, then you go to where it says My Word is Bond Education and fill out the little form. Oh, hi Judy on YouTube. Oh gosh. So yeah, education is the word for the day. Um, I did want to, so today is the lunar eclipse. Like the peak of it just ended, but now we're in the peak of the full moon. Let me go over to, yeah, let's just go over to the whiteboard. I could just write this up. So, today is a full moon, and it's a full moon lunar eclipse. So whenever it's a lunar eclipse where it's the moon that is given covered by the um, shadow of the earth, it's a full moon. I did not like how big that was. So today is a full moon lunar eclipse. Ew, that is gross. Hold on. I gotta fix it or it's gonna drive me nuts. There we go. Better. So it's a full moon lunar eclipse today, and it's in Pisces. And this is part of like a 2.5 year cycle. And so the cycle started with the new moon um in February. So let's move this. Yeah, move this down a little bit. Um, so February 2025 was the new moon in Pisces. And so you can go back to any journals, like your schedule, a calendar, and think about what was just getting started in February 2025. Those are really the seeds that were planted. And then for 9 months, it was really like the planning period up until November 2025. And that's when we had the first quarter moon in Pisces. And now today is when we have the full moon. And then in May 2027 is when we have the last quarter moon. And all that means is that if you look at the 9 months between February 2025 to November 2025, so this is like 9 months of planning or setting intentions. So it was really like figuring out what you wanted to intend to do, getting the information you needed, collecting the materials, all those kinds of things. And then since November 2025 until today, so August 2026, we've had 9 months where we've been taking action. So you can think about what you have been taking action on? Like, what have you really been putting efforts into to try and build? And that is where that action piece is. And then, um, so starting today, all the way until May 2027, is when we are looking to see where we might need to pivot or make adjustments or like refine our work. Um, and we have 9 months for that. So just take a peek and think about it. Usually it's pretty obvious of like what was started during that new moon period and what you were really working on. Um, And if it's not, just take this time to like really pay attention to what is telling you, oh, you might need a little adjustment here. And that's probably where you need to pivot. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, for anybody that didn't hear me say it, the link is in the link tree to be able to add any of your um, songs or lyrics related to today's word. Today's word is education. Education. And already it's been interesting just even thinking about what to include um, in my thinking and my thoughts for education, songs and lyrics, because I immediately just thought about like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, like the whole album. Um, and then the next thing I thought about was Alice Cooper. School's out for summer. And then I was like, well, does school count? So it'll be interesting to see if anybody found some other songs and lyrics that kind of fit with this topic. Let's use our code. So our code is the English alphabet, starting with A, is 1 all the way to Z equals 26. And when we use that, education is 5 plus 4. U is 21 plus 3 plus 1 plus 20 plus 9 plus 15 plus 14. And okay, it's already interesting to see that the last few weeks we've been having words that are portals, and we have that again because we have the 5 here that's getting us started, and then we have the 14 here that goes to a 5. So we do have this big portal kind of already starting here, but then we do have another 5 here as part of this 15. So we've got a portal there. And then we have a couple of 4s that are creating a portal and a couple of 2s that are creating a portal. And then we have all of these 1s. So let me get a different color. Because we have a 1 here, a 1 here, okay, a 1 here, and a 1 here. So our dominant vibration is 1, which makes sense because 1 is the vibration of anything that's new. So any new energy that's coming into the space. So this can be a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things, or just learning something new would also fit with this vibration of 1. And so we do have quite a few 1s in here that, and then along with those 5s. Um, okay, so this is interesting. So we have the ones that are um, giving this vibration of something new. Then we have 4s. Well, I think we would start with the 2s, which are bringing an end to division, where here the division really could be like that division between what you know and what you don't know. Yes, Judy. That's funny. And then we have the 4s, which are all about stability and foundation. So creating a foundation of things. And then we have the five of change. And those seem to be the pretty much the dominant vibration. So the most dominant vibration is that one where we have this brand new energy that's coming in. We're learning something new that's ending our division between not knowing something and then knowing it through learning. And that's helping to build a particular foundation. And then it's changing. So that can change your way of thinking and your behavior. But I think it's important to remember that all of these vibrations are neutral. And so they encompass everything that's positive and everything that is negative. And so when you think about education, I mean, I don't really, but you think about what the purpose of education is, it really is supposed to be moving you forward. It's supposed to be teaching you something new and moving you forward in like gaining knowledge. Um, and we would think of that as moving in a forward in like a positive direction. But there's many of us also that when we think of like the educational system, not necessarily the curriculum, but the environment that we were in to learn that curriculum. Uh, I don't know about you, but I know I got a very different set of education. Like I learned things that um were not, I guess, necessarily considered positive. So I had to learn how to be more extroverted when I would prefer to be introverted. I had to learn how to be able to socialize and um, do things in a particular way. Like I think about math in particular, which is actually pretty funny because I would get in trouble in math class all the time because I wouldn't show my work because my brain just did it. So my brain would just do the work and then I would get in trouble for not showing the work. And so part of my education was learning how to just present what was being asked for, not necessarily actually learning the curriculum. So, that's kind of disturbing. Let's add this up. Let's add this up together. So we've got 5 plus 4 plus 21 plus 3 plus 1 plus 20 plus 9 plus 15 plus 14 gives us 92. And so 92 is one of those. When we add up the 9 and the 2 together, we get that 11, which then eventually can go to the 2. So this is probably exactly what I was just talking about. Oh, hi, cousin B. Hi. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so I think this is actually exactly what I was talking about. Where because the 11 is this division. It's like division between what you're actually learning. So what you can actually be learning um, can be these two different things where you're learning some life lessons, positive and negative. And you're learning some, I don't know, let's just call it content, which also I think is positive and negative because we're finding now that there's so many things that we have been taught that are so wrong. But also, I think in thinking about education, this is where the conversation could come in about like having the difference here between like street smarts, which I would just consider like life education, versus like academic or book smarts. Academic, I should have just wrote book because that would have been easier. I made it hard on myself. Um, so we have this 11 where we have this division, but I think also this 11 can very much be like the split between what are the parts of our education, whether it's life lessons or whether it's like the the actual content that we're learning, of what parts do we want to keep, and what parts do we need to like relearn or like unlearn, is that a word? I don't know, it's a word today. Hi, it's so good to see you. Thank you for being here. So we have this word education, and it adds up to 92. So thinking about going from that 11 to 2, that really is this 11 to 2 story really is about what are you keeping. So if we have these two sets of education that we're learning, you are from each of them taking the pieces that you want to keep that are actually valuable to you, that are going to be good for you going forward, and then use those to create this new path, like this third option for yourself. And that really is what that two is. That, ooh, that's ugly too. I don't agree, draw it. I know this is not going to be much better, but it's going to be all right. Where the two is really the end of division. And this 92 is actually a really interesting part of this 11 to 2 story, because 92 is actually the vibration of the word duality. So that's interesting to think about, that duality, when we think about duality in these two different extremes, um, and how that then relates to education. And it does have the same vibration as the word education. And I think it does feel the same way, that you very much have this dualistic nature in education, and in like the value of education, of what is actually valuable in education, and how education is being structured and um, given and taught, and like what that actually means. Hmm. So that's interesting. I want to go back up here and see if you all see anything in this long list of numbers. And Okay, I see something else, but I'll wait and I'm gonna go get a drink of water and I'm gonna go grab this journal that has a whole bunch of these 11s in there and see what else 92 is. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh, hi, Mai. I didn't see you over there on YouTube because I've got two chats going. So hopefully you're still here. Thanks for being here. So 92, I'm gonna look and find some other things that vibrate at 92. Oh, thanks, Cousin B. Thanks for coming on over. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hi, Alden. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you. Oh, that's great. I've never been rated before. So let's look at 92, this vibration of 92. So we have this combination where the first step is really finding an end to division, which is interesting because it adds up to an 11, which is the division, which is the creation of the division. Um, oh, you want to know what the word is? It's education. I think that's funny. And I've really been waiting a long time for somebody to say that in here. That's kind of what I don't know if it's sad or not, but I think it's hilarious. So you start trying to end this division, and it's paired with this ending of a cycle. And so when we think about like the educational system, I'm going to put the word education over here. So we have it somewhere on the screen. More so I don't forget what our actual word is. Oh, thanks, Josh. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Over on Twitch side. Yes, mine has been so long. I've been good. I hope you've been good as well. Trying to manage these two chats is hard. So I apologize if I miss anybody. Um, but it's interesting that both of these are an end to something. And so the two is bringing an end to division, which really is that 11 to 2 story where the 11 is a division. It's like these two separate things that you're learning and them not necessarily like meshing together, if that makes sense. And trying to find a way where how can you actually use this? Because if you're learning one set of things that is just helping you to live life and survive, like life skills, versus like what you're learning content wise to actually like go into a career, sometimes those don't fit. Sometimes those don't fit together. Actually, a lot of times, from at least from my experience, they don't necessarily fit together. So we have the two that's ending division, but then we have the nine that's ending cycles. And so it's ending this like repeated way of doing things, this repeated like behaviors, um, like a repeated way of thinking and behaving and routine. And when you think about like, I guess it's mostly like the school system in education. It is like this repeated routine where not the content is different, but you have this repeated routine. And it's kind of crazy to think about where we have those repeated routines in our society. Wow. And like where those repeated routines actually dominate. So we see those repeated routines, we start learning those repeated routines like in school. Um and then you see those repeated routines like in work, like you're supposed to be at work at a certain time and you do certain things and then you leave at a certain time. But the other place that repeated routines are used quite often is in like the prison system. So that's kind of unnerving. We're just going to leave that over there to the side and we'll talk about it more later. But let's look at, I want to look at what other words um, have this same vibration of 92. So we know education, we know duality vibrates at 92. Also potential. That's kind of interesting. Like, oh, you have potential. And what moves you from having potential to actually being whatever you have potential for is probably what you learn, education. Oh, you're right, Josh. So Josh over here on Twitch said that we talked about this same kind of thing. We talked about religion. Yeah, you're right. And that is one that we should add over here. It's like religious practice. Religious practice is one where we have that routine and that like repetition. Very interesting. Let's see what other words. Hmm, there's some interesting ones. Well, I don't know how this fits, but look, drug war also resonates at 92. Um, programmed. Oh my gosh. Now I'm seeing why I needed to pull this list out because that's crazy. Programmed is 92, but also laughter. The word laughter is 92 also. Um, let's see. Template or template, whichever you prefer. Template or template. So it is like the you have a template or a template where it's giving like manufactured, like you're trying to make the same thing over and over again. And thinking about that in the educational system, wow. Because when you think about like where the educational system is, at least here in the United States, um, it really was for a very long time, where it was just something for the elites. Like you had to be from a well-off family to go and get an education. But it was when they're trying to basically mass produce warehouse workers that you started having more of the educational system that we're actually seeing now. Oh, I'm thinking about templates. Templates. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, so also shifting, but also enduring, and emerging. Oh, those are all good. Let's do emerging. Is also 92. And then, oh, this one that I forgot about that we actually had a very deep discussion on a few months ago is this goddess plus God equals 92. Hmm. So, kind of interesting to see what other words and phrases are resonating as education at the same 92 vibration as education. Um, yeah, that's interesting. A square. Do tell me more. Like, why would it make you think of a square? But it's interesting to think about, yeah, like how even in our definitions and things that we think about, um, these words kind of fit a little too well. They fit a little bit too well. Oh my gosh. And then I just looked at this. Um, I don't know why I hadn't looked at it before, but um, the word prison actually equals 91. So a prison is 92. Oh, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. So when we think about like the um, education to prison pipeline, where um, yeah, so schools were essentially set up. Oh, okay, that makes sense, Judy. Putting people in a box. Yeah. Well, because you could be with education, you could be setting up what those expectations are, standards and expectations are to be put in the box. Yeah. And when you have a square, you are actually, in fact, you have, mm, give us some space. Whoa! I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it to fly like that, but okay. Guess that's what we're doing today. But if we have a square, we actually have two sets of 11. So you have 11 there, and you have 11 here. And both sets of 11 are needing to take what works and what's good from both sets of extremes to try and get to this two to the end of division. The other thing that it made me think of is like with this box is that this is kind of disturbing. It messed me up when I heard about it. That the design of a school, so where you have like a school like this, ew, and you have all the different classrooms that are here. It's actually the same architects. It's the same similar design as a prison. It's made to be able to keep people confined to smaller spaces and to be able to control a large amount of people um, with needing less like guards or people that are in charge, like maintaining control. So, ugh, yeah, that messed me up. Because even if you look at a lot of the schools, like, why does their playground look like a yard? Like a prison yard, and like the shape of the buildings, and yeah, it's all messed up. It's so messed up. But if you look at it, and you can look into the history that some of the major um, architectural firms that have been hired to build US schools have also been hired to build prisons. And it's because they're more worried about maintaining control over large amounts of people um, than what's actually happening in those spaces. Crazy. Oh my gosh, so crazy. You call the playground the concrete jungle? Well, yeah. Sounds sounds unfortunately about right. That's crazy, Josh. Mm. You know what, this another thing this is making me think of, and I talked about it a little bit when we were looking at 92 originally. So we have education, and education is resonating at this 92, and also 92 is duality. But what keeps coming up in my mind is like, when you think about, do you value education or what is the value of education, it very much is split, where it's should we value um like the life lessons or the street smarts in the same way as like the academic lessons or the book smarts? Because how you're obtaining those two types of education is very different, and I do think that the most powerful people actually have both. But it's interesting to see that there's this 11 and there's this duality, and then thinking about that. So let's see, what did you, all the other schools had wood chips? Of course not. Yeah, no. I know all of the schools that I've ever taught at, except when I started teaching at uh, a private school, um, or an online school that didn't even have a yard. But they all, yeah, it was all just concrete. Like there wasn't not one green nothing or like gravel. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. Like how is that supposed to be nourishing your mind? Oh man, that's crazy. Okay, but if we do have these two sides, and if we have these two sets of people, so we have this 11 where we have what you're learning new as far as life and street smarts, and you have what you're learning new here. But what we actually have to do is we have to find what are the valuable pieces. So, starting here, what are the valuable pieces of information that we can learn and that we can pass down that we want to keep. But in that academic space, it's this education that we want to keep that is not um, creating snobs. It's not creating um, people that are unable to relate to other people, or to have empathy. And at the same time, on this side, we have to figure out what parts of this type of education is really valuable. But you don't have to learn by being traumatized or continue to be traumatized to learn it. Because I don't think either one of them, I think you could be like greatly traumatized in both areas and pick up some pieces of education that really are not good. So, how do we find that true middle ground where it really is a two, where it's ending the division, where the two extremes are actually able to come together and be able to make this new path? Oh my gosh. You got your screen, your school's got green everywhere, Judy. Lucky you. But yes, you are in a very green green state. It would be hard to not have it. Oh no, Josh. Yes, the hippies. But it is interesting to think about how do we go from this 11 to 2? Because it, like, just the vibration of the word period is telling you that that's what we're having to deal with. So, are we ready to look at like the origin and the definition? Are there any other words you want to look at with education before we look at the definition or the origin? While you're thinking about it or typing it in, I'm going to get some water. Oh, that's interesting, Josh. So for everybody on YouTube, Josh said on Twitch that this is exactly the message I got when looking for my song, but it was slightly different. How was it slightly different? Do tell. Because it is interesting that we have this dualistic nature. And when you think about like people speaking about education or school, it is like one extreme or the other. Either it is like, oh, we're glad it's summertime and we're not in school anymore, or school doesn't really help us. It's a bad place to be. Or you go to school, get education to be able to, do something different. So it is very divided around value. Like, what is the value and why? Why do you value it? Okay, so here's Josh's response. It was more the division between how taught we are taught to function outwardly, but the education system lacks informing us how to internally be educated. Oh, so okay, but which is still those extremes. Mm, okay. Okay, so if we look at it, so correct me where needed, but that it would be another piece of this dualism, this duality of education. So we have education here. We'll just draw it again. Education resonating at 92, which is the same as duality, the word duality. And this is an 11 to 2. So it's, yeah, the external versus the internal. So, like, here would be like, how are you performing? Or like the masks that you put on versus like, how are you thinking and learning about yourself? Is this right, Josh? Because one of the things that just drove me insane is, and especially because I have always taught math and science, but nowhere in the curriculum, not even in math and science, were we really teaching students to think critically, to actually think through what they were doing and why. So let's see. Josh also said, also, can I say almost every song about education has to deal with getting away from school? Yeah, or having the hots for your teacher. It's crazy. Yes. 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 When I was looking at songs too, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like it did not make sense. Okay, so let me say this again. Where there's these two sides where it's this external um piece of learning that you're gaining from this educational system and this internal piece that you should be learning but maybe aren't. And like the external is more about, are you able to perform? Are you able to put on the mask? Are you able to basically look and play the role of an educated person? It's more about like kind of like what we were talking about, like being in the box of educated, where there's like all of these um expectations and stereotypes about what it means and what educated looks like. Oh, not education, educated, educated. But that's this external piece where it's, do you sound educated? Do you look educated? Do you like, can you play the role of this educated person and not being taught, um, like just how to think and learning about yourself, especially because those times, if we think about like our okay, yes. Okay, good, Josh. So Josh did say that it's a battle between conforming and actually finding yourself. Good. Yeah, where when you think about the years, so if we think about like um our triangle, and these years of youth, so from age 0 all the way to 27, and like right here is 18, but these are the years that you are in um the educational system. And these times of your life, it's supposed to be where you are building your identity. And education and like what you learn in school is supposed to be part of that. But when what you're learning in school is actually turning you away from your individual unique identity and more turning you towards fitting a template or a template, because we saw that that is another word that resonates at that 92. What does that actually do? Because if you are working so hard during these years when you're supposed to be building your identity, you're supposed to be learning about who you are, and how you want to move in the world and how you can contribute your unique vibration to the world. What happens then when you are building an identity off of like a template that you were given to look like everybody else? Then when you get over here to this power square, where this is where you're supposed to be strengthening your identity, but this is where you get all of like your life tests and trials to be able to strengthen your identity. How much of this strengthening then is actually going to unlearning? Because there was a lot of songs about that too, of like deprogramming. And remember that uh 92 is also that word programming. Like this is like really creepy and eerie that all of these words actually resonate the same as the word education. But how much of your time that you're supposed to have, um, where this power square is from 27 to 54, is then used to have to undo what you've built in your youth? Instead of strengthening it, you're having to like get rid of all the impurities. I think that's crazy to think about. I You know what, Judy? I cannot figure out why those weird white hands with the bear just look so weird to me. I know they're hands and they shouldn't look weird, but they look so weird. I, I just can't. I don't know. I can't. I like them, but I don't know why it just it weirds me out. It's so funny. It's probably like those certain words, where you have those certain words that just ugh. Like there's nothing wrong with the word, but the way that it sounds and it feels just is weird. That's what that's doing. It's just weird. It just bothers me. Why aren't the hands brown? Make the hands brown. Okay, okay. I'm done. Oh my goodness. That's so funny. But yeah, this is kind of crazy now thinking about it, where so it could actually be the students that are like really conforming and really fitting this template that struggle the most in their power um square. What, because that actually is something that messed me up. A polar bear, get out of here. That is not a polar bear. Oh, nice try. That one's not gonna work. But it actually did really mess me up because I remember being told all the time that education was how I was going to be able to compete and how I was going to be able to, get the job I wanted and live the life I wanted. But and it was in that power square, right about 30, when all of a sudden I realized that it did not matter how much education I had, that the societal norms that I just go against just from who I am and the body that I'm in, um, overpowered that. It was actually, I read a study, and an article that said that a black woman, so a black woman needed 2 more degrees to compete for the same job. And this was before like the pandemic and all of the economic crap that we have going on right now. I think this was probably in like 2012, around that time. And that messed me up. I don't know. It just messed me up that, like, because I had been told that if you go and get your education, that your knowledge is power. I watched all those shows. Knowledge is power, and that's how you were going to compete, and that's how you're going to have like an equal playing field. And then, no, no, you lied to me. You lied to me. Oh, these lies from the pit of hell. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I had to say it that way, but I did. But that's how I felt. That's how I felt when I was like, what? Like, I am not going to be able to compete without having multiple degrees just because of the way I look? Oh my God. So Judy says we had the same approach on the Russian side. You got to be the best or else. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Well, and it's crazy to think about. You have to be the best or else, but then they're not even giving you the resources to be the best. So did you know? So here in the United States, it was the Brown versus the Board of Education is what ended segregation in schools. So that's what ended segregation in schools, where then blacks and whites were able to go to the same schools. But before this happened, the original goal wasn't to have to end segregation in schools. It was actually, so what came before this is there were several court cases where they were just trying to um get equal resources in black schools, where it wasn't like trying to end segregation in schools. It was just trying to have equal resources. And when that didn't work, um, and when they saw that there was still ways for states to be able to still discriminate, then it went to the Brown versus Board of Education. But then, through all kinds of other laws and redlining and creating poverty pockets, you still have the same thing. You still have the same thing where you still have these unequal resources, because it's based on the resources that you get at the schools. It's based on, um, well, at least at the state level. So federally, everybody gets a certain amount for each student, and there's a higher amount that you get if you have special education or you need special education services. But then at the state level and even at the county level, it's based off of your tax bracket. So places that have more tax money and have less other things to do, because if you have a city that has all these nice streets and all this tax money, then more of that tax money can go to the school and it doesn't have to go to the streets. You know, it doesn't have to go to like something else. And in Colorado, that was one of the big pushes for legalizing marijuana, was that those extra taxes were supposed to go to education. Now, if they are, that's a whole different discussion. But yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's worthless if you're not on top. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I agree, Josh. Don't get me started either on No Child Left Behind law, because that made no sense. And even with the Every Student Succeeds Act, so ESSA, um, it was good in theory, but states still aren't even like meeting any of those expectations. But it's because that No Child Left Behind like screwed up so many things. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. I was wondering how deep we would go, because education is one of my it's one of my tender spots. Both because I love it, but also because I hate it. Um, but yeah. Okay, so let's just go look at the um definition and origins. Let's see. Did I set up a browser? I think I did. Yep, I did. Okay. So let's look at definition of the word education. Okay. So education is the process of teaching, training, and learning, especially in schools or colleges, to improve knowledge and develop skills. Doesn't that sound nice? I wish that's really what it was. Hmm, let's, okay. I'm not going to read the rest of these. Let's, we got to find some other words to look at. Maybe knowledge and skills. Let's think about what other words we want to look at. So let's look at the origin of the word education. So this says the word education comes from Latin roots meaning to rear, nourish, or lead forth. Definitely theoretically. That definition is very theoretical. So Latin roots and meanings. Educare means to bring up, rear, train, or nourish. Historically, it refers to family-based child rearing and care. Educare is kind of crazy. Have you ever heard of this word, educare? Educare? Where it's like, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. Like educate and actually care. So educare. That's that's kind of a crazy word. I'm gonna look and see what the vibration of it is real quick, because it's hitting different. Oh, that's why. So educare. Um, let's go back over to the whiteboard real quick. So I can actually show you what I'm doing instead of just talking at you. Because that's not a good way to learn. But this Latin root word of educare was kind of interesting. Um, so this edu is the same as an education, this first part, and it's 30, which is like um, this vibration of God, universe, higher power, um, enhancing the growth. So vibrationally. And then it's paired with this word care, which is so interesting that it's like the care was removed from education. Because, like, let's see, education. Huh. I'm gonna look at this because if we both they both have edu, which is 30, but also 30 is fear and 30 is peace and 30 is ease. And then it does. Educare sounds like a product found in an old barbershop. It really does. Or one of those like old educational magazines. Here's your Educare because I care. Hey, look, I just wrote the hook. And care is 27. And so educare is 57. And 57 is also the numeric vibration of the word moon in English. So that is educare is a very different set of vibrations than education. We still have the cycle because this moon energy is, we have the cycle of the moon. Like that's how we actually started today, talking about the full moon eclipse today. Um, but yeah, it just feels different. I think also it feels different because we have the 7 here of action in flow. So it's taking into consideration that action, but at the right time and in the right way. And the focus really is on change. And also, if we add this up, it gives you the 12, which is a change in perspective. Get a different color here. It's a change in perspective. And the ultimate goal is growth, this 3 of growth. So it starts here with this enhanced God universe growth. And when we go all the way through, then we're ending here in growth. Whereas here for education, if this is 30, then that means this cation is 62. And 62, it is an 8, which is that creation of a cycle. It's like it's creating these cycles and these routines is really at the foundation of it, but also 62 is about shifting. And so when you think about what's the difference between shifting something and growing something, when you're shifting something, you're taking that same something and just putting it into a new position or a new place. When you're growing something, it's getting bigger in one or more directions. So when I think about, like, let me see, where am I going? Where am I going here? Oh, like moving from one grade to the next. So if you're like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, growing, so to like grow your knowledge would be like you're learning here in kindergarten, and that's now you're adding on and growing into first grade, and then you're adding on and growing into second grade, versus shifting where it's you can read this well in kindergarten, and then you can still just read that well in first grade. You're not really building on it, you're just shifting. Well, that's unnerving also. Because that's exactly what we're seeing happen to so many of our students, is they're just going on to the next grade. Like, we should not be having so many people graduating from high school not able to read. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. How are you still right? And it's worse now than before the pandemic, because we have students who were year over year were behind and weren't able to catch up, that got even more behind during the pandemic quarantine time, and in the transition out of that, that's now it's like they'll never catch up. Because when I was in school, not in school but teaching in school, um, most of our students were two 2 years, like 2 academic years behind, but would only be able to catch up like half a year every year. So they already were, having to take 4, 5, 6 years to even maybe start to get caught up. That's crazy. Okay, I'm not gonna go on a whole big old tangent again. I'm not gonna do it again. All right, let's go back over here to this origin. All right, let me get back over here. I got you to the screen, and now I gotta get myself there. Okay, so we have educare, which means to bring up, rear, train, or nourish. This word nourish keeps coming up a lot too. And I think that's also what made me think about that difference between shifting and growing. Because when you're actually growing something, you're having to give it what it needs. You're having to give it nourishment so that it can grow. Um, and then we have educere, which is CERE, which means to lead out, draw out, or bring forth. Oh, it combines X, so out of, from, and ducere, which is to lead. So this actually is interesting in what you were saying, Josh, about like the external versus internal, where from this origin of the word, you're supposed to be drawing out or bringing out. So, like, bringing what was inside. So, what somebody just already knows. You know how people say, they tell you, like, you already have all the answers. You just have to listen to yourself. I don't know how that true that is, but it fits this in that it's the drawing out of that information and drawing out who you are. So not necessarily what you know, but supposed to be giving you externally the things that you need to bring out who you are, to bring out that identity. So then there's educatum, which is the Latin noun, uh, and a stem education, meaning a breeding, training, or bringing up. Ew, why is breeding in there? Maybe it's more like a template again. Gross. But the training and the bringing up. So education, like it looks like the Latin roots and the origin of it really started with what was happening at home as far as bringing up and caring for your children. Like, how do you give your children the skills and the information they need to be an adult? But even that, if we think about it, um, there's always been like a hierarchy of, you have to know your place, you know, have to know your role, and you learn your role. I was trying to think if there, what communities or um people were not living in that way. I know there's probably a lot of indigenous people that weren't necessarily living that way. Um, well, even just thinking about the matriarchal indigenous societies of like indigenous people here in the Americas, where a lot of that is what was used to uh, craft what the government was, where the branches of government are supposed to all be on equal footing and have their piece of power and maintain and make sure that the other branches do not overpower the others, and they're all supposed to be working for the people. No, that all went to hell in a handbasket. But it's interesting to see that um, education did start with child rearing, and kind of led into this hierarchical kind of thing. Hmm. Historical evolution. So 14th to 15th century entered the English language via French and Latin, initially meaning child rearing or the training of animals. Well, that's annoying. And then in the 16th century is when it began to be shifting towards academic instruction and systematic schooling by the 1580s and 1610s. Interesting. Oh, look, here's an etymology dictionary. So, education, 1530s, child rearing, also the training of animals from French education, and directly from Latin, education. You like that? A rearing, training, a noun of action from past participle stem of educare. Hmm. Originally of instruction. Oh, that's another word. Instruction in social codes and manners. Interesting. Okay, so this now is going into those social codes and manners like we are talking about. Like, how do you learn? So this is from the 1530s when you're actually beginning to learn these social codes and manners. And that's what education was for. So the systematic schooling and remembering that systematic is the system. It's like a conveyor belt of everybody goes through to learn the same things to fit this template to come out the other end and be able to do these things. So it really was for a very long time, just training to be able to work whatever your role was to be in society as far as work. Whoa, mid 15th century, bring up children. Let me see if there's any. This is interesting. I haven't seen this one before. This dictionary, co-education. Hmm. Okay. All right. All right. All right. I'm not gonna take us down a rabbit hole that isn't going to be productive. So let me get out of here. Let me run. Let me run away. But the one, so this word care, but then also nourish was an interesting word, and instruction. So I wonder if there are, and maybe even training, but let me look at this. So if we look at education, we know this is 92. If we look at another word like instruction, so already we have something different that's happening here because this in at the very beginning is resonating at that 23, which is I am. So you see the individual here. The individual, the identity of the individual is part of this. So, but let's look at instruction. 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 Hmm. Okay. So, instruction is 162. And it's kind of interesting that this adds up to a 9. So both of these words have this 2 as a first step, where needing to bring an end to the division. Even if the division is like what to accept as true and what to not as accept as true, or what to accept as valuable versus what you consider not to be valuable. Hmm. And then we do have the 9. The 9 is here as the second step in education. So bringing an end to cycles. And just from our discussions and looking at the definition, now it's making me think that this end of cycle in education is like trying to get you to fit this mold by ending like what you've been doing before or what you were learning at home. Um, yeah, and I just thinking about like how a lot of a lot of organizations, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. A lot of organizations that are trying to um, get people to conform and assimilate to what they believe, they use school systems and they use children in schools to try and change those routines. It's like educating them in being someone that they're not. So forgetting the routines, the language, the cultural, and the routines that you do at home that are of your culture, of your community, and how to conform and assimilate to what society is expecting of you. That's a lot of times schools use that. Or schools are used in that way. So it's making me think of this nine as different here. Um, we do have the nine here for instruction, but this is like the final outcome. So the final outcome is to um, end those cycles. And so by ending the division here in instruction, it's then challenging what you're comfortable with. And here's that 16 of the tower again. But it's challenging what you're comfortable with. So then it can introduce in these new ideas, good or bad. And I feel like I had to say that because it just feels like, and this probably is more from my own experiences in educational systems, that it very much feels like a stripping away of the comfort of who you've found yourself to be outside of school, like in your home, in your communities, with your friends. And it very much is creating a division in you instead of ending the division. But if their goal is to end the division where you are just conforming and assimilating, then that makes sense. But if you're fighting against that, it's just creating more division of who you actually are, um, what is actually valuable to know, and what education you can actually use in the future. Well, good gracious. I wonder if we're ever gonna have a week where it's not so heavy. Probably not. Because even when I don't expect it to be as heavy, it is. It is. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to get some water and then maybe we can lift our mood, well, at least my mood, a little bit by going to our lyric wheel. So I'm going to get some water. If anybody wants to add any songs or lyrics to the lyric wheel, you can do that with the Linktree link. And we will go there next. Yes. Yes, I did drink my water and forget to turn my mute off. I was talking. At least I didn't change the screen yet. All right, but we are going to change it now. I am going to go over here and grab our little spreadsheet. Okay, okay. Oh, good ones. Okay, okay, okay. I'm gonna try not to look at it too much. But I always like to see what everybody puts. Okay, so we're gonna get this. We don't have any anonymous this week. It's so interesting when we get anonymous um entries. I actually like that. All right, so we are going to get this. Going to grab this. I'm going to act like I did not forget what I'm doing because I didn't. I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. Um, and it's so funny because um all I've been able to think about, I put two, well actually just one song in here. And all I could think about, I kept, oh my gosh, it was driving me nuts because all I could hear was Alice Cooper sing, "School's out for summer." Like that has been going through my head like all day. It's been actually pretty insane. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me grab this. And then I was like, I don't even think that song would even count. Like, how's that song even related? It's, ugh, like that won't help us at all. And it was just stuck in my head. It's kind of crazy. All right, so let's put these in and make sure I have, let me make sure I still have the spreadsheet open. Yes, so that I can actually get the full lyrics. So we've got 4 in here this week. We've got so Nas I Can. We've got Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, like the whole album. That was me because I couldn't choose. Yes, isn't that crazy, Josh? So on YouTube, Josh said that it kept thinking this week that there was going to be a lot of positive songs about education, but once started actually looking, it was all like very negative. Isn't that crazy? I almost put in some like speeches because um there were quite a few quotes and like parts of speeches that were positive about education, but not in the music. And I decided against adding the um speeches and the quotes in because I really think that the music, that what we're getting at when we get to the music is we really are getting to hear the voice of the people because the music really is supposed to be for the people and relate to what the people are actually experiencing. Oh, Super Tramp. This is a good one. Yep, Breakfast in America, 1979. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, and Pink Floyd is another good one. Oh my gosh, you all are great. You found some good ones. Yep, yep. Okay, so those are the four we have in here. Oh, those are good. Uh, yeah, but it was really hard to find ones that were positive. But let's spin our wheel. We've got four in here. We probably have time to do probably two, but let's see. Woo! Spin the wheel. I knew I was gonna pick that. I almost didn't put this in here because I had a really hard time. Um, I didn't want to just put one song. So this one is mine. This is Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Um, and I just put the whole album because I just thought that it was really telling how the different songs on this album, they are more about like what you're learning in life, but she has all of the symbolism and even like the intro and those transition points that are in school and talking about education, but it's more about life education. So I didn't think that I could really pick one song. So I included all of it. So, of course, that's the one that was picked. But let's spin the wheel again. Let's spin the wheel again. Here we go. Ah, what? Okay. No, the wheel is not, maybe it is biased towards me. Because why does it keep picking mine? I keep adding some because I want us to have a fuller choice, but I keep choosing mine. So I really like this song I Can from Nas, and just the lyrics, like the actual chorus of um I know I can be what I want to be. If I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be, that is like the mantra that was repeated about education. Like knowledge is power, education is power. All you have to do is work hard. All you have to do is do well in school and you'll be fine. And it just told a lot about this path that you were able to take with education. And so I thought this song, especially the chorus in particular, um, gave that good depiction of what I remember always being told. Okay, we're going to spin the wheel again. Mm, Now we know it's not going to be mine. Okay, we have Josh's song here. Supertramp, the logical song, Breakfast in America, 1979. I said. Okay, so I'm going to go. Let me grab this. Do not let me keep you on this wheel. I'm going to go and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to grab the lyrics, like all of the lyrics, and put it on the whiteboard. But it's not going to matter if I don't remember to actually open the whiteboard so you can see it. So I'm going to try and remember. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me take us to the whiteboard. There we go. Okay. See, I just had to say it out loud and then I wouldn't forget. Oh man. But it didn't help by making it that big. Oh, way too big. What? Now way too small. Okay, there we go. All right, so now let me go um grab the lyrics and the explanation. Hmm. Oh, I haven't heard this song in like forever. Like, I don't even want to tell you the last time I heard it because it's going to be embarrassing because it's going to age me. Okay, there we go. Make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay, so there's the lyric. Let me go grab Josh's explanation. Get that in there too. Yeah, this is a good one, Josh. For exactly what you were saying, that it yeah, it definitely fits that. All right, so here is whoa, Josh's explanation. We're gonna make it a different color. All right, so here are the lyrics. Trying to see how I can fit these so we can see it all at once. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, it doesn't want to do it. It doesn't want to. It's like, nope. All right. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop trying to fit it all in here and we'll just go through it. All right. So we have, my gosh, why be so difficult? Here are the lyrics. Um, yeah. So the lyrics here are in black. I said now, watch what you say. They'll be calling you a radical, a liberal, oh, fanatical, criminal. Yeah. Oh, won't you sign up your name? We'd like to feel you're acceptable, respectable, oh, presentable, a vegetable. Yes. And it is. Okay, so then here is what Josh gave us in description. So it describes how much of our education system teaches you to fit properly in society system. We acquire all these learning tools that help us outwardly contribute to society, but in doing so, we sometimes forget to learn who we are internally. The education system generally pushes people into conforming to social norms that fit our system's agenda, which can lead to success in the world, but at the same time leave people feeling lost or empty inside due to the unbalanced scale of internal and external knowledge. Very well said. Thank you for that, Josh. And after all that we've looked at and that we've talked about, I I think it is on purpose. I kind of always have felt like that, but never wanted to actually accept it because it just seems so diabolical that you purposefully are creating a system of education so people cannot, one, not be individuals and learn who they are as an individual, but to also like strip them of the things that make them unique. So you're stripping them of their culture, you're stripping them of their language, because we even think about now how There's whole parts of our educational system that are to force students to um, speak only English and learn in English, whereas in like every other country in the world, there are English speaking schools, which is crazy. Um, and so that seems so much more sinister when you think about that. That it's not just this dualism of your needing to learn the internal and the external, but you're losing the internal by learning the external. Like it's actually designed that way. Because we think about some of the most unique contributors to our society and how many of them um, did not have what we would consider an education and did not like conform to what an educational system was actually teaching them. That's actually kind of crazy to think about. Wow. Yeah. Good one, Josh. What parts of this do you want to look at the vibrations for? We could do all of it if you want to. Like artist, song, album. You let me know. And then we'll look at Judy's. And yes, I am going to spin the wheel with just one on there. Okay. Yeah. That's actually what I was thinking too. So, the album is Breakfast in America. Wow, you are thick. There we go. Breakfast in America. Mm. So let's see. So for breakfast, it is 2 plus 18 plus 5 plus 1 plus 11 plus 6 plus 1 plus 19 plus 20. That's interesting. So breakfast is 83, which is another one of those 11 too. But what's really interesting is that 83 is the numerical vibration of the word wisdom. And there's another one. Um, yep, within. So where you were talking about this internal versus external, the word breakfast resonates the same as the word within, um, and wisdom. So that's interesting. We already know because we already looked at it tonight, but in is 23, which is that numerical vibration of I am. And then Marka is 1 plus 13 plus 5 plus 18 plus 9 plus 3 plus 1, which is 50. And so all of this added together, 83 plus 23 plus 50 is 156. 56 is another one of these 11 to 2 stories. But 56 is the numerical vibration of the word healing. It also is the numerical vibration of the word light. So, this little light of mine. And so 156 is the numerical vibration of the phrase towards light. And also 156 would be personal healing. That is very fitting. That is very fitting. Wow. Isn't that interesting? I love when that happens. Well, and it usually always happens. Where the vibrational story that's being told underneath the words that were chosen um actually very much fit. Like they fit what um what the intention was. Because the words that we choose, the symbols that we use, the art that we create, we are trying to express the pure vibration that we are experiencing. And so it tends to be that the words that you choose, they are resonating in a particular way, but you want to be able to hook people in differently, but experience that vibration the same way you did. Yes, I know. America being 50 with the 50 states is crazy. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's all a little bit crazy. Yeah, but it is because we are always trying to describe, we're trying to find the words to describe um, what we are actually experiencing vibrationally. Yeah. And it's crazy because, like, it's actually the United States of America. So it's the United States of 50. States of 50. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. All right, we're going to go and yes, I am going to spin the wheel because I like to spin the wheel. I don't care if there's only one in here. We're going to spin the wheel again. And we're going to grab Judy's song here before we head out. All right, so here's spinning the wheel. Woo, 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 woo. I wonder what it's going to be. Oh, I crack myself up. So Pink Floyd, 1979. Hey, two, you both picked songs with albums from 1979. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I just noticed that. Let's see. 1979. Okay. All right, this is gonna freak you out a little bit too. While I grab this, add up 1979. So, what is the vibration of 1979 when you add up those individual digits? I'm going to go over here and grab all of this. for us to take a look. Yeah, 26. And we're in 2026. And also remember, 26 is the vibration of God, little g God, of what is going to rule over us. And then looking at even just these two songs where it is talking about what are we going to allow to rule over us or to control us and dictate us. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. It's interesting how vibration in the universe is very precise and at the same time feels very mystical and magical. I love it. All right, we're going to stick this in here. Not this big, though. There you go. Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall. I'm going to grab the lyrics. I've been trying to like fix this so that this wheel actually shows us things broken out a little bit better. And really what I was trying to fix is that it would actually let us have longer songs and lyrics. It would actually hold longer songs and lyrics. Um, I haven't figured it out. It took me so long to even just get this wheel. I'm so proud of it. I didn't want to break it either. Oh my gosh, why is this so long? Why are you so long? Oh my gosh. And now you're small. Why? Okay. Let me just do this. We're just gonna go like this, and we'll put the lyrics down here in black. Make it a little bigger so you can actually read it. And I'll go grab Judy's comments. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's just the lyrics. Got it. All right, so we're good. So here we have Pink Floyd, again, 1979, where 1979, ew, there we go. 1979 adds up to 26, and 26 is the numerical vibration of little g God or the word God. So what it rules over you, what do you allow to rule over you? And the lyric itself that Judy shared with us is, we don't need no education. Why are you here? Why? Why, weird pen? There we go. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teacher, leave them kids alone. Yep. And this is one of the I actually thought about this and looked at this song too, and I was like, dang. Can we get like a I was trying to find a positive song. I thought it was gonna be easy, and it was not. But this is so good because this actually fits right in line with what we have been talking about, where the educational system as it's set up has one agenda, but then we're told something different. Oh, you did. We're told something like not just different, but completely opposite, where it's like, oh, come improve yourself, come find yourself, come shape your future life in this educational system. And the educational system's agenda is to let's strip away everything that makes you unique and give you this formal setup of what you actually need to be to fit into society. And that's not to say that like all the education is bad. I think the goal would be, um, and the people that it really serves are those that are able to maintain their authenticity. They're able to maintain and find their identity and who they are while also obtaining the education and then being able to pass that on to others. Um, so, but now our educational system is getting rid of all the good teachers for one reason or another. So, it's a different kind of shit show that we don't have time to talk about. But this is so good because this is what I was hearing in a lot of the songs that I was looking up, and probably you as well, Josh, where it was like, no, we don't want your educational system. It was like this was the first place where um, protest was coming into play. And when you think about it, where's that? Let me see if I can find it so I don't have to draw it again. Where is, nope, there it is. So if we think about this youth square, where this is the time that you are most likely in your educational programs, you're gaining education as you're building identity. But when you look through history, it's people that are in this youth phase that are protesting and advocating and fighting against the powers that be and the systems that are trying to conform them. A lot of the times they're in this youth square also. That some of our most powerful social justice advocates are either in this youth building identity, or they started their protest and their advocacy when they were in this youth. Because even when we think about um, some of like the big civil rights leaders, most of them were in their 20s when they were actually going through that civil rights era. And that was a lot of what shaped the building of their identity into then the power square, those that actually were able to make it there, because unfortunately we lost a lot of them. um but that's interesting to think about. In that might be why a lot of these songs and lyrics are coming up where it is really fighting against the educational system, where they really are um, advocacy protest lyrics against the educational system. Hmm, that's interesting because there's a lot of them. There was way more than I thought there was. There was a lot. There was a lot of them. So this is a good representation of a lot of the songs that um, I looked at and thought about including in this. So wow. All right. Another great discussion. And so next week is Oh, I think it's actually week 10. Let me see. Is it week 10 really? It's week 9? 9 next week. Okay. So almost week 10, which is still pretty crazy. So week 9. So we have been at this for 9 weeks. We are going to go all the way to 23. But next week, our word is money. So let's see if you're able to find any songs or lyrics on money. Talk about having a hard time choosing. So next week, our word is money. And just so you know, so as you are looking for songs and lyrics for next week for money, the week after, which will be week 10, is wealth. So as you're looking for songs and lyrics, you can look for where is this difference between money and wealth, and is there a difference in how they are defined and how they are used in songs and lyrics. So that'll be an interesting one. I actually am able to, because now I'm ahead of things. So I'm going to open up that um, form right now. Maybe if it'll open. So before we leave out, I'm going to open up the form for money. Yep, got it. Okay, so money is now available, so you can um, go ahead and start putting in your lyrics and your songs for money, and we'll talk about that next week. Thank you all so much for being here and for a great conversation. On YouTube, thank you for being here. As you're exiting out, please make sure to hit the like button. And everybody have a good night. I'm going to close out our space. And man, it's like day now. But here we go. Please apply the vibrational healing you take with you and come back soon for another healing dose. Always remember, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. You are love, you are healing, you are whole. Have a good night and a good day, good rest of your week, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye.